Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Happy Monday, everybody. We are loud, live, and local every morning, 6 to 9:30 a.m. right here on FM 96.9 The Game. Or maybe you're listening on AM 740. Or maybe you're listening on HD Radio 101.1-2. Or maybe you're on social media watching us live and in color. You can do that. Just go to the YouTube machine, search for Open Mic Live Stream, and there we are. Welcome to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah, that's right, Mike, and it's time for everyone's favorite time of the day. It's the Bro Take Reveal. Here we go, going with a little... This one's a little tight, too. It's over 9,000! Anime reference. Hope everyone's ready for it.
Austin Pastolka. The tank tops keep getting tighter as Pastolka keeps gaining weight. There you have it.
It's a bulk season, brother. It's all muscle all the time. Bench pressing 4 hundo soon. Deadlifting 5 hundo. Be looking on my Instagram.
I thought you were trimming down. You changed your mind?
I trimmed down for 3 months, dropped 20 pounds, and now it's bulk season. So I'm going to take a month of bulk time.
That means he's no longer committed.
He's lost his will to lose weight.
Yeah, and so now I get to eat. It's a clean bulk though. Bulk.
It's so nice for the guys who go to the gym who start, who plateau and then they start, gaining the weight back. They can always just refer to it as bulking.
Absolutely.
Bulk season. It's bulk season.
I've been bulking lately too.
Wow. Also, still auditioning for a job on Open Mic is the Prince of Production, Kelly Velez. Kelly, we're gonna make a decision on whether you actually get a job permanently, and maybe in the next couple of days.
Okay. Right. Well, either way, I'm going to be here, so you have no choice. So
okay,
that's perfectly fine.
All right, we want to hear from you throughout the course of the show. 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 96.9 The Game. We have a bunch of polls up you can vote on already at 96.9 The Game on Twitter as well. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. That's 50857. The Game Day Payday, our $1,000 contest, still going on. Your first chance at the $1,000. That's 7:10 a.m. this morning and on throughout the day on the 10, 7:10 a.m., 8:10 a.m., and on and on and on. Presented by International Diamond Center. We like to begin each day by inspiring you with our Open Mic early morning inspirational quote of the day. This comes from our very favorite philosopher, the great Anonymous himself, who once said, and I quote, "Not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some come to clear your path." End quote. Intellect?
Yeah, well, I think, listen, there are times in your life that get hard, okay? And you may view those as, a storm. But they may, in fact, on the back end, that silver lining of that dark cloud may be what you need to be paying attention to, because sometimes what I always refer to, the great American poet Bartholomew J. Brooks, sometimes you thank God for unanswered prayers. Sometimes it may look like a negative, but once you get through it, you may realize that, in fact, that storm cleared out some things that you really didn't need in your life that may have, in fact, been the bigger issue.
There you have it, right there from the deceptive intellect. All right, let's start with the Orlando Magic. They gave their fans something to cheer about in their final home game of the season. That's right, a 128-96 blowout loss to the equally awful Minnesota Timberwolves. R.J. Hampton scored a career-high 19. Dwayne Bacon had 18 to lead the Magic to their third straight loss. Just what we wanted. They wound up, by the way, 1-11 over their final 12 home games after the March 25th trade deadline reshaped the roster. More importantly, though, the loss moved the Magic to 21-47. That is now in a tie, a three-way tie for fourth in the NBA's reverse standings, we're calling them, all right? These are the reverse standings. The Magic in a tie with the Timberwolves and Cavaliers for fourth. But they are only a half game out of third. They are behind the Thunder by a half game. I think they can do it, guys. I think they can get into that bottom three, which is what we want because of this. You look at the Magic schedule, 4 road games to end the season, all against teams that are in the thick of the playoff race. They start tomorrow night against Milwaukee. They'll lose that one. Then they'll be at Atlanta, another loss, and then they end the season with back-to-backs against Philly. All right, at Philly. So that's 2 more losses. So Orlando should get into that bottom 3. Thoughts?
I hope so. After that loss, they sure as hell earned it. What was it, 30 points? Good. 32 points.
To that. Yeah, 32-point loss.
Goodness.
Yeah, to the Timberwolves.
They deserve the number one spot with how bad that game was. Holy cow.
We'll look back on the season, a couple of these last-second shots by Cole Anthony, and we'll be looking at them going like, they felt good at the time, but...
Right. By the way, here's Steve Clifford talking about the roster renaissance. Hello, Coach Clifford, are you there?
Obviously, this is we're in a rebuilding situation, so, it's going to be, as we've talked about, it's going to, when we made those trades, this is what we're committed to. I think the thing that the fans should expect, and we should all have these expectations, is that we play hard every night. And I think that's it. I don't think it's any secret of where we're at and the direction that we've taken, but that doesn't mean that we can't play hard and play with purpose every night.
Is there anybody that's going to be happier when this season is over than Steve Clifford? Seriously.
Maybe.
We just got to play hard every play hard every night. Wow.
Let me ask you this. Just kind of throw this out. If the Magic are like kind of starting fresh, right, and obviously they're trying to redo the lineup, are we 100% locked in? Steve Clifford will be here next. Is he the guy that if
I'm
the Magic
be so disappointed
if the Magic are looking to sort of reboot this franchise, and that looks like what they're is Steve Clifford the guy that's going to be here to do it?
He'll be here at the beginning of it. I don't know if he'll last till the end of the if there is an end to the reboot. Hell, if you want to go back 9 years, this reboot has really never ended, has it? They rebooted after Dwight Howard and it didn't work, and then they tried another reboot. And
talk about they made the playoffs. What are you talking about? That was over. Reboot was over.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, they had minor success when they made the playoffs, and yeah, I think Steve Clifford is going to be the coach that starts this next phase of the reboot. Hell, if they lose big for the next couple years, Jeff Weltman and John Hammond may not be here for the next phase of the reboot, for all we know. So again.
We've actually asked that question of Jeff Weltman, and Jeff has said that Steve Clifford is our guy, which of course we can only take.
Of course he does.
But,
of course he said that.
Right? Yeah. But we've also heard Jeff Weltman say things about Mo Bamba that were like, "Ooh, I don't know if you meant that." When he talks about Steve Clifford, he seems genuine. He seems honest, and so I think Steve Clifford is here for a while. I don't know, three bad years might be the end of it.
No, I feel bad for him because basically you can only play the hand that you're dealt,
right?
And right now, he's not being dealt a great hand. I don't know if that's
he was dealt a bad hand in when he was with Charlotte. Like, he hasn't. I wonder what he could do with a good NBA team.
Well, again, NBA championships are won by talent, not coaching, in my opinion. I always say the best move Frank Vogel ever made was getting fired by the Magic. He got fired by the Magic, and he gets hired by the Lakers, and suddenly he's a championship coach. It's not rocket science here.
Not this year, he isn't.
Well, still, but Steve Kerr takes over the Golden State Warriors, all right, and he wins championships, and then they lose Kevin Durant and get injured, and guess what? He's not such a great coach anymore. So it's really not rocket science. All right, we're going to get into Orlando City. They had another draw over the weekend. They're undefeated, 1-0-3, 1-0-3. But the big news is they may be sold as soon as today. We're going to get into that story. Are you happy or sad that Flavio is selling Orlando City? That's next on Open Mic.
Urso on the ball on the right here for Orlando. Urso slips it by Acevedo. What a move. Looking for Pereira. Top of the penalty arc. Out wide for Nani on the left. Towards the top of the box. Nani driving. Nani shoots. Oh, what a goal! For the third consecutive game, Luis Nani has scored a golazo.
Oh, wow. That is fantastic from Nani.
There you have it again. You had a Nani and you had a Nanny right there. Two different pronunciations of Orlando City's captain, who, by the way, that was a fantastic goal he scored in a 1-1 draw against NYCFC over the weekend at the Purple Palace. That is the third straight match in which Nani has netted a goal. And all right, here's a question for you, Adam Reardon, Mr. Soccer Purist. All right. Nani, he's 34 years old. He's in MLS now. We realize he's not in his prime anymore. How good was Nani in his prime? Give us an idea. Was he one of the best in the world?
I mean, he played at Manchester United. He's played in big clubs over in Europe. So, yeah, he was a very, very good player. Wasn't of the world's elite. Like, nobody... You wouldn't have a conversation and go like Messi, Ronaldo, Nani. You know, that wasn't happening. I mean, but he was. I've told this story a billion times. I was in the Bahamas the summer of the last World Cup, and I'm sitting there and I'm walking by, and this guy walks past me. And I go, God, I know that dude. And I look down, and I see he's got a tattoo on his leg. He's got lots of tattoos on his legs, and one of them is a soccer ball. And I look up again. And I go, dude, that's Nani. But this is before he played at Orlando City. And I go, well, why is he here? Why isn't he over in Russia getting ready for the World Cup? Because it was like a week before the World Cup started. And I got on my phone and I Googled it, and turned out he got left off the team. He was so good. I really thought he was going to be on Portugal's World Cup team, but he got left off for a younger player. So that was kind of in that we're moving to the next, to the next group. Yeah. But yeah, he was, I mean, if there's A+ players like the Messis and the Ronaldos that we know, and then there's A player, probably a good B player, like a good, like, yeah. but like a really good player in Europe.
I got to tell you, all right, and again, I'm no soccer aficionado, but when Kaká came to Orlando City, he was essentially about the same age, all right, as Nani is, all right? It seems to me like Nani's better than Kaká at this age, and I'm not saying he was better in his prime, but, at 34 years old, I think Nani's better than Kaká was at 34 years old. So, again, just my thoughts on that. And again, I'm no soccer aficionado. Maybe somebody out there would vehemently disagree with me, but and in fairness, Kaká was hurt a lot when he was with Orlando City. So anyway, just my thoughts on Kaká and Nani. All right, the big story though for Orlando City over the weekend, Flavio Augusto da Silva, and we've talked about this. It's been rumored for months now. He is nearing a purchase agreement with the Wilf family, who owns the Minnesota Vikings, that could be completed as early as today. This is according to Julia Poe of the Orlando Sentinel. She reported it over the weekend. Flavio Augusto da Silva is essentially selling Orlando City to the Wilf family. It may happen as soon as today. The sale will include Orlando City, the Orlando Pride, Exploria Stadium, and the Orlando City Academy system. If a purchase agreement is reached, the two parties will need to undergo a 30 to 60-day closing period before the Wilf family potentially assumes control of the club. I guess it's like buying a house. You have to have a closing 30 to 60 days after you actually come to the purchase agreement. So, except this is a very expensive house, all right? This is an expensive house. 400 to 450 million the franchise is expected to sell for. I'm trying to find out what Flavio actually bought the franchise for. The Wilf family consists of Ziggy Wilf, who serves as the owner and chairman of the Vikings, and his brother Mark Wilf, who serves as the Vikings co-owner and president. Here we go. Flavio paid $70 million as an expansion fee to bring Orlando City into MLS in 2015. He went on to self-finance the construction of Exploria Stadium, which is now estimated at a value of at least $180 million. I don't know what he financed it for or what he paid for it. I'm sure he's probably still paying the note on it. But he's going to get about $450 million for his troubles. So again, I don't know exactly how much he paid for the stadium, but $70 million for the expansion fee. If the stadium is worth $180 million, that's $250 million. So he's going to sell it for $400 to $450 million. So he's making a tidy little $200 million profit on it.
Very good flip.
Probably even more so, because I doubt he paid $180 million for the stadium.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. He's probably making, I don't know, $350 million on this little purchase he makes.
I watch a lot of A&E, and they do like those Flip This House shows and stuff. How about Flip This Franchise?
Yeah,
starring Flavio.
What's the cheapest franchise in the U.S. that we could, pool our money? Yeah, we could. Your fiance's rich. Like we could pool our money.
No.
We could get an Arena Football 2 team probably if we got a bunch of fellow sports talk radio hosts and sports writers.
If you're lumping me in there, with my finances, maybe we can get our name on the back of some Little League team jerseys or something like that. Chico's bail bonds.
I think this is, and we've talked about this before. I think this is great news for Orlando City. Good, Flavio obviously got Orlando City. They needed a money man to get them in the MLS. He did that. So he, obviously Orlando, owes him a debt of gratitude for, bringing another major league franchise into Orlando. But to me, the Wilf family, they've been wanting to get into MLS for quite some time. They are multi-billionaires. They're going to have a lot of money to play with and spend on Orlando City. And I don't know exactly how much money Flavio has, but I'm pretty confident in saying he doesn't have as much as the Wilf family. Probably not even close. So again, this is a great deal for Orlando City fans. I think the Wilf family will be spectacular. Now they haven't won much with the Minnesota Vikings, but still I think it's great news. What do you guys think?
I mean, new ownership, maybe a new level of excitement, and hey, it's at the right time too because the team's playing well. They made the playoffs last year. They haven't lost yet this season. As we start to get fans back into Exploria Stadium, we get closer to that 100% capacity and get everybody excited. It's a good time for good news, and I think it's good for the fans. And it's never bad to be owned by somebody who's got a lot of money, because if you got holes you need to plug with some cash, they got it. They got cash to plug. So if you need it, they got it.
Plus, Minnesota Vikings, what were they called? The Purple People Eaters. So, Orlando City's color is purple. Maybe we can come up with a nickname for Orlando City. Purple People Eaters, huh? We need a soccer. We need a
purple pitch paladins.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I like that.
Please, listen. I will say this: that I get a text or an email or a tweet almost every single time you say Purple Palace, and because the Orlando City fans absolutely hate it. Absolutely hate it. So I'm not lumping any. I'm not doing any alliterations with the letter P at any point here in the future.
All right, as a spontaneous text question, 50857. Text in your
text question of the day.
Text in your answers to this. Since the Orlando City Lions are being bought by the Minnesota Vikings, which were once known as the Purple People Eaters, what's a good nickname now for Orlando City? But it has to have purple in it. Purple something. What'd you say? Purple Pitch Paladins?
Something like that. Yeah. But I listen. I don't want to be.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know. I just took Paladins from Furman.
The
I mean,
purple.
it's better than purple pitchings or something, like just something with a P in it.
Purple pitch, pitch because in the soccer field they call
Purple
it a
pitch is good. That's a good start. Purple pitch. Yeah.
The
something-
purple
yeah.
son of a pitch.
Hey, oh.
Get it? Pitch. Yeah.
All right. Texo's in the 50857. Straight ahead is Bob Baffert, now the Barry Bonds / Lance Armstrong of horse racing. Or is his horse, as Donald Trump said yesterday, just a junkie? We will discuss and debate next on Open Mic.
Bianchi's got to get a quick workout in.
You are.
Open Mic. We'll be back.
Okay, I've got it. I came up with it during the break. You ready for this? Instead of the purple people eaters, which were the Minnesota Vikings, since the Vikings owners are buying Orlando City, do you know what Oscar, the coach, always wants Orlando City? He wants them to be what? Do you guys know the term?
No.
He says, Oscar Pereira always says, I want us to be the protagonists out on the pitch. The purple pitch protagonists.
Oh,
huh?
no. Oh, no. Huh? That's so long.
You down with PPP? Yeah, you know me.
PPP. Yeah. Purple pitch protagonists. That's it. That's it, fellas. We have come up with it. Playing at the Purple Palace, the purple pitch protagonists. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going with it. Going strong to the hole.
All I know is that from this point forward, all of our shares of our video stream into these Orlando City groups are now going to be blocked. They used to welcome us with sort of open arms. We start adding
They're such snobs, these soccer fans. Oh, good Lord.
Purple Palace.
The Purple Palace, a great
Purple
nickname.
Palace sounds like a nightclub.
Oh. Okay. What's the matter with that? It is a nightclub oftentimes. You ever been on the wall?
I don't think.
Yes, I did go to the wall. I did.
I don't think he meant nightclub.
Yeah.
I think he meant something a little more.
Just
anyway,
Palace. Risque.
Risque. That's the word.
Purple Palace. Sounds like the ballet.
You talking about like the Purple Pussycat?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, good luck. Hey, honey, where you and your friends go? We're going to the Purple Palace. Oh, no, you're not. Well, I'm going to my attorney's office. You're going to the Purple Palace. The old King of Diamonds? No, you're not.
Yeah. All right, big story in sports over the weekend. Medina Spirit's victory in the Kentucky Derby in serious jeopardy because of a positive post-race drug test, one that has prompted Churchill Downs to suspend Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert immediately on Sunday. This is the latest scandal in horse racing, and there have been many. All right, Baffert denied all wrongdoing. However, Medina Spirit is Baffert's fifth horse known to have failed a drug test in just over a year. Here was Bob Baffert yesterday in a hastily called news conference.
Yesterday, I got a call from Jimmy Barnes. I was headed to the airport. I got some horrible news. He said he had some horrible news for me, that he'd just been served by the Kentucky Race Commission that Medina Spirit, our Derby horse, had been tested positive for 21 picograms of betamethasone. All I can tell you is that betamethasone, even though it's an allowed drug, therapeutic medication, we did not give it. My veterinarian, nobody here, that matter of fact, Medina Spirit has never been treated with betamethasone. I cannot believe that I'm here before you guys. I never thought I'd be here. Yesterday, I got the biggest gut punch in racing for something that I didn't do. It's disturbing. It's an injustice to the horse.
Okay, so that's Bob Baffert denying everything. Hey, play the second clip about how he says he felt like he was wronged.
Yesterday, I got the biggest gut punch in racing for something that I didn't do. And this is really, it's disturbing. It's an injustice to the horse.
Okay, it's the same clip. Never mind. That's just all right, that's enough. All right, so, again, Bob Baffert has had 5 horses in the last year, failed drug tests, and, for him to say... For him to claim that, again, if you read some of his other clips, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I know everybody is not out to get me, but there's definitely something wrong. Why is it happening to me? There's a problem in racing, but it's not Bob Baffert. He's almost sounding like somebody sabotaged his horse here, is what it sounds like to me. So is he saying that somebody sabotaged all his horses? Because Bob Baffert, the guy's a cheater. I mean, he's denying it. as Lance Armstrong did for so long, as Barry Bonds did for so long. He's a cheater, plain and simple. He shoots up his horses with steroids so they can run faster. Is he the only one? Probably not. Lance Armstrong wasn't the only one either, but he purports to be the greatest of all time. It doesn't count if you're cheating, because it's not real if you're cheating. That's what's supposed to separate sports from the movies, all right? We're supposed to be seeing real performances, not artificially enhanced or chemically enhanced performances. And again, for Bob Baffert to claim his horse was sabotaged is a bunch of rot. Anybody believing Bob Baffert here? Anybody?
No, but I am curious to see this, is how the horse community reacts to, I mean, aside from the horses themselves, Secretariat, and that's their biggest star. Bob Baffert is the biggest star in all of horse racing.
Yeah, now we know why he wears those sunglasses all the time, by the way, so you can't see his lion eyes.
But like, where are the comments? I want to see the comments from other trainers out there. I want to see people. Are they going to call this guy to the carpet, or is he kind of untouchable by these guys? Is he beyond being called out by the rest of the horse racing community because he's delivered?
I really haven't seen much derision aimed his way, honestly.
No, and I don't know if it's one of these things where, because they all go, like, if they go, I can't believe this guy's doing this, and then they go, well, hold on here, let's check out your resume, and but I'll be interested to see how this thing goes. Look, your horse fails a test. That's, after the Kentucky Derby, that's as bad as it gets, because there are no brighter lights being shown upon you than after your horse wins the Kentucky Derby. And for this to happen now is a bad look for Baffert. Bad look for the sport, no question about it. And I like the Scooby-Doo angle, that it's not me, it's like, we're going to get to the stalls, like, hey, who's this guy? And they peel it back. It's Dwayne Lucas, poisoning my horses.
That I would have gone away with it, too, if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
That's right.
Somebody just texted in, the beta methadone fairy strikes again. Yeah. Good Lord. Come on, Bob Baffert. All right, we're going to get to some game balls and goof balls coming up. Donald Trump, by the way, checked in on this scandal. He gets a goof ball coming your way next on Open Mic.
96.9, The Game. While others flopped.
We got flops all over the place.
It's time for Game Balls and Goof Balls on Open Mic.
You can text us in your game balls and goof balls to 50857. You can give us a call if you want, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 969 The Game. Obviously, Bob Baffert gets a goof ball, a major goof ball for his horse, Medina Spirit, testing positive at the Kentucky Derby. Might be the third horse in the history of the Kentucky Derby to be disqualified, the third winner to be disqualified. 140, I think it's 147 years the Kentucky Derby has been going on. Also have to give a goofball to Donald Trump. All right, he's the only guy I know who can politicize horse racing, for crying out loud. All right, good Lord. And again, I you know how I don't like to get political on this show, but I can't let this go. All right, so on Sunday, when news broke that the Kentucky Derby winner, Medina Spirit, failed the post-race drug test, Donald Trump commented on his website, and I quote, so now even our...
Because he's still not on Twitter.
Yes, because he's not on Twitter. This is on his own website. Quote, so now even our Kentucky Derby winner, Medina Spirit, is a junkie. This is emblematic of what is happening to our country. The whole world is laughing at us as we go to hell on our borders, our fake presidential election, and everywhere else. Exclamation point. End quote. What the hell is he talking about? What the hell does a horse testing positive for drugs have to do with the status of this country?
Well,
Bob Baffert was cheating when Trump was in office too. Good grief. Get a grip.
Well, you know, this is a sign of the times. Everyone's looking for a shortcut. Nobody's working hard anymore. You know, back in the old days.
He read beta methadone, and he really honestly thought that this horse out there running around on meth. We got a meth problem in this country. Junkie. He called the horse a junkie, like the horse was like running around the stalls going, man, you got anything for me, man?
Yeah, like it's the horse's fault. Like it's the horse's fault that he's being shot up.
Yeah, they're laughing at us now. They're laughing at us now.
It keeps calling me, man. It's cold. It's
That's right.
Scotty, help me. I'm going to die.
Medina Spirit is a junkie. By the way, junkie was spelled with a Y and not an IE, so that was misspelled as well. Anyway.
Can't wait for that Trump quail ticket to run. Misspelling names, misspelling words, which I can't lie, I could be Secretary of Defense on that.
What did quail misspell? Potato.
Yeah.
Except he did it at elementary school.
I tried not to poke fun at that because believe you me, don't ever get me in front of a bunch of fifth graders. Like, how do you spell it? I was like, kid, listen. What do you want to teach you a lot of things about life. Just spelling ain't one of them.
All right, I want to give a game ball to Roger Hughes. Do you guys know who Roger Hughes is? Roger Hughes was the football coach at Stetson University. He stepped down over the weekend after 9 years to become the president of his alma mater, Doane University in Crete, Nebraska.
That's right.
First of all, Austin Pistolka, have you heard of Doane University?
My mom graduated from Doane University.
Whoa.
Oh,
small world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where the hell is it?
School.
Where's Crete? Where's Crete, Nebraska?
Crete is
that
outside
by Greece, Nebraska.
It's by Prague, Nebraska. No, there is a Prague, Nebraska, not Prague, Prague. But it's outside of Lincoln. I actually almost went to Crete because my mom. The cool
you went
thing
to
about
Crete or Doane?
Doane, sorry. Doane. The cool thing that they do is upon graduation, they put every person's name of the graduating class on the sidewalk. They add a new piece of sidewalk with everyone's name. That's correct.
That's right.
It's a very small school, man.
No kidding.
Yeah. Anyway, Roger Hughes was a great guy. He was a civic treasure in DeLand. He resurrected that Stetson program after 57 years. It had been dormant. He was the coach who was hired to resurrect it. It was a 1AA non-scholarship program, still is, which meant the players paid their way to school just so they could play football. And, they did it because they wanted to play, not to make money on their name, image, and likeness. Not that that's bad. I'm just saying it was a much different form of college football. Any form of college sports or any form of sports is a little bit pure when there's not big money around to pollute the mission, in my opinion. And again, I'm not saying college athletes at big time schools don't deserve something. I'm just saying it's a little more the mission of college athletics, I think, is probably pure at like Doane University or Stetson, where again there's no big TV contracts. The coaches aren't making $8 million a year. In fact, Rollins College coach Tom Klusman once told me one time he's a very successful basketball coach at Rollins College. He's been there forever and ever. Tom Klusman. And it was, Adam, do you remember when Jim Herrick got in all that trouble when he was at Georgia at the time, or was he at UCLA?
I think he actually got in trouble at both places.
Okay.
Yes.
So anyway, I was over talking to Tom Klusman about another column, and I asked him, I go, why don't Division II coaches, because Rollins, I think, is a Division II program, why don't Division II coaches ever have scandals like that? He goes, because we don't make enough money to jeopardize our jobs by cheating, all right?
We're not recruiting the players here that are worth paying, okay?
But the main thing was, he said, hey, when that much money is involved, you're going to have the urge to cheat, all right? That was his point. So if there's not a whole lot of money involved, why are you going to cheat? So anyway, that was Roger Hughes deserves a game ball, in my opinion. Who else we got? Rory McIlroy, he deserves a game ball. Ends his 18-month drought. He finally wins the tournament, the Wells Fargo Championship in Charlotte. It's about damn time he won. Rory McIlroy. I always say Rory McIlroy. It's Rory McIlroy. Is that how you say it?
At this point, I don't even know if those are words, okay?
Has there been a bigger disappointment over the last few years than Rory? Really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, you say last few years, or, Rory's a guy...
Yeah, because he hasn't won a major in almost a decade.
Then yes. Yeah, because that's kind of how we measure golf. We don't care much. Even this event here. Hey, congratulations, you're back in the winner's circle. But we need to see it on those Sundays that the casual sports fan tunes in. Yeah, you're right. If he's been 10 years without a major for a guy that was going to be the
Austin,
next
can
Tiger.
You Google that? How long's it been since Rory won a major? It's closer to 10 years than 5 years. I'll tell you that. I think it is.
I will say that at least Rory is around, whereas like Jordan Spieth was a guy to me that won a couple majors and then absolutely disappeared. The other guy that's in danger, Brooks Koepka's the next guy who's in danger of winning majors, and then all of a sudden you go, wait, what happened to Brooks Koepka? He was the guy who was winning every major. In a 2-year span, and then you just don't see him. Now injuries and swing changes and golf can do that to you.
Maybe he's been seeing Medina Spirit's trainer.
Hey, Mike, as he looks that up,
2014.
2014. So
7 years.
7 years. So
7 years. Yeah.
Can I give a goofball, but not from the world of sports, just kind of in general passing? Yeah. And I'm going to help every human being out who's listening right now. If you travel, then maybe you're guilty of this. If you've never traveled, don't be guilty of this. When a plane lands, I give a goofball to anybody who stands up immediately, opens up the overhead bin, grabs their stuff, and then like for some reason, dude, you're in so on my flights this weekend, I was in row 1 on the way to Atlanta. Fantastic. That is so great because as soon as you land, boom, you're there, you're in there. And then on the way home,
what about Adam traveling first class?
No, it wasn't first class. It was a Frontier. Frontier row 1, nice. Totally different than any other.
Absolutely.
But with the little mini tray table.
You got no tray table in row 1. Yeah. So I got lucky there. But on the way back, I'm row 32, okay? So I know that there's 32. I don't even move, right? But I'm in the aisle seat, and to my left is, a father and his kid. Super antsy about getting up. And I almost want to turn and go, dude, we're in row 32. No reason to stand up right now. We got about a good 15 to 20 minutes before the wave works itself back here. People, sit down. Stay sat down on your plane until probably about 2 rows in front of you are getting ready to leave. Do not stand up.
You do want to have your luggage ready to go when it's your turn to move forward. But you don't need to do that as soon as the plane lands. You're right.
Oh, it's the big every flight. Trina gets upset because I get upset every single flight because here they are, and I'm in the aisle seat, and the guy is wanting to contort his body around me to get to the bin,
grabs the bag
I'm like, dude, you don't need it right now. You don't need it right now. We've got 15 minutes. They haven't even they haven't even brought the thing over for us to walk down yet. Okay, we're not going anywhere. So that's a goofball to any traveler.
That's not as bad as the big burly guy like Austin Pastolka who sits in the middle seat and dominates the two armrests and bleeds over into your area.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Listen, if you wanted the middle seat, you should have had it.
Bleeds over into your area. Guys like Pastolka should have to buy 2 seats, all right?
Get out of here. That's discrimination, Mike.
Mike, did I ever tell you about the time I brought a black and blue cheeseburger onto a flight and there was a writer next to me?
A black and blue cheeseburger?
Really?
Yeah. With blue cheese. With blue cheese on it. Yeah.
Oh, I like those.
Oh, it's really good. But so there's a sports writer right next to me out of Seattle. I know because I'm peeking over and he's writing an article on the thing, and I kind of see his name and so I check his Twitter, and he writes on Twitter, is nothing worse than the guy who gets on the plane with stinky food and doesn't offer you some. Well, we had hit turbulence in the mid-flight, and the guy makes this noise. He goes like this. He goes like that, and so I tweeted back after we got off the flight. He goes, "Yeah, my burger might have stunk, but it sounds like if we hit any more turbulence, you would have had an issue too."
That's funny. You don't know who it was, do you? Was it Jerry Brewer?
No, he was writing something, a piece on the Seattle Mariners. He was out of Seattle.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
Back to golf real quick. I want to give a game ball to Bryson DeChambeau. Did you see what he did over the weekend? So he thought he'd missed the cut at the Wells Fargo, all right? He thought he'd missed the cut on Friday, so he gets on a plane and he flies back to his home in Dallas, all right? So, at the time he flew out, he was way back. He was 90th. In 90th. Yeah, he was in 90th place. Thought he had no chance to make the cut, so he said, hey, I'm going to get out of here early. So he leaves early, flies back to Dallas. Turns out he makes the cut. He ended up in a tie for 64th, which was 8 shots back of the 36-hole leaders, which means he made the cut. So he considered withdrawing Friday night after he found out, hey, do I really want to fly back to Charlotte? So he flies back. So you know what? I'm going to fly back. And he ends up finishing 6 shots back of the winner, Rory. All right? So he ends up collecting a check for $228,825. Here was him talking about his whirlwind experience.
I made triple on 7 and then chipped it on 8 for birdie. I thought I had to make birdie on the last, and I didn't miss the putt, and I was like, there's no way I'm making it. It's 90th place. And so we just said, all right, let's back up, let's go. Want to get ready for next week, and going home, and Chris was there. We were doing practice and whatnot, and so flew privately there, and halfway through the flight, my agent texts Connor, and he's like, hey, you're 68th now. And I was like, what? No way. There's no way I'm not gonna make it. There's no way. And sure enough, the conditions just kept getting worse. And by the time I landed, I was in. It was 64th or 63rd or whatever. And so I looked at Connor and go, well, whoops. That was a mistake. So It was funny. We did a lot of scrambling last night to get back. One of the scenarios was like turning right back around, but the crew couldn't refuel and their hours were out, so we had to get a new crew, if anything, and it just didn't work out. And so let's just go in the morning. And so I left at 2:45 on a flight, and I got here at 6:20 a.m. Drove 30 minutes to the golf course, put on my clothes in the locker room, and then headed out to the putting green. I did get a workout last night, though.
I think we've all been in that position where you go somewhere, you leave, and you're like, oh, wait, I have to go back. This right here, you have to fly all the way back. That jet lag must have been crazy.
He didn't have to, though. He didn't have to. I mean, golfers withdraw all the time from golf tournaments. One of the things he said, it wasn't in that clip, is, obviously he's probably the biggest draw on tour right now. I'm at Bryson DeChambeau. People buy tickets to go see him, and one of the things he said was, I didn't want to disappoint the fans. So good for him for flying back. And again, he made $228,000. So, that private flight back, that more than covered the cost of the private flight back.
Can we take a moment and talk about that for a second? The fact that he got, what place did he end up finishing?
A sixth.
Oh, he finished sixth.
Yeah, no, tied for ninth, 6 shots back.
Tied for ninth. Okay,
yeah,
a top 10 finish at a golf tournament that nobody watched. You get $250,000, effectively. I need to get good at golf.
You know what? LeBron James makes that per game, all right?
Yeah, but, that's a contract thing.
Yeah, at least these golfers have to show up, and at least they have to, again, you have to come back and finish in ninth place.
What would he have gotten if he would have finished last but making the cut? That's what I want.
I don't know.
These guys make like 70,000, I think.
They still make them. They still make them. If you're
that's it. You got to make the cut. That means you finish in the top, essentially the top half of the tournament. That's when they start paying.
A lot of people have bad days. I could do that once a year. Once a year.
He's talking about make a cut. First of all, if you only do it once a year, guess what? You don't get the opportunity the next year to come back and do it again, just that one time. Hey, Mike, I also want to give a game ball. I want to give a game ball to Canelo Alvarez this weekend. 8th round TKO over Billy Joe Saunders, where he broke the guy's face. Literally broke the guy's face with a right-handed uppercut that he was throwing since round number 1, and it finally lands in round number 8 and breaks his orbital bone in multiple places. So,
wow!
I was going to give him a game ball just specifically for speaking English fluently and cursing everybody out. Before all this is going on, this is the first time we're seeing his actual personality out here.
Because they had a nice little back and forth over the ring size, because Billy Joe Saunders wanted a larger ring so he could move around a lot, which he used to
run.
Essentially, so he could run.
That way he
ran right into that fist.
He wouldn't break his face.
Yeah, so it worked for about 8 rounds, and then when he finally got caught, that was the end of it. And Billy Joe Saunders quit on his stool after the 8th round.
He did one of these moves after. He's like, "Yep, this is it."
That's it. That was done.
I went to a boxing match one time to cover. It was one of these. Yeah, it was in a nightclub in Daytona Beach. It was called Finky's. I think the nightclub was called Finky's.
It wasn't called the Purple Palace?
No, it wasn't the Purple Palace. It was Finky's, and the reason I went is because Tex Cobb. You remember Tex Cobb?
Yes.
Tex Cobb was boxing, all right, and Finky's was trumpeting this Tex Cobb fight, and Tex Cobb was fighting this guy named Aaron the Assassin Brown, all right? Aaron the Assassin Brown, except he didn't look anything like you think Aaron the Assassin Brown would look. Aaron the Assassin Brown, he was like this. He looked like an accountant. All right, he actually came into the ring. He had glasses, but he took his glasses off obviously before the fight started.
I can't see without my glasses.
Aaron the Assassin Brown, I kid you not. He spent the entire. It lasted like a couple rounds before Tex Cobb finally cornered him and knocked him out. But Aaron the Assassin Brown spent the better part of 2 rounds. He would sprint across the ring, all right? Just sprint from one end of the ring to the other, just trying to get away from Tex Cobb. It was like he was sprinting across the ring. Yeah. So
Randall Tex Cobb, right? Randall Cobb, right?
Randall Tex Cobb. Yeah. Is he who beat him to shreds? Was it Larry Holmes or?
Whenever he fought anybody good, I want to say he got beat up pretty good. But he was like in movies. That's where somebody would know him. He was like I wouldn't say in Eddie Murphy's The Golden Child.
Yeah,
way back when.
All right, my final game ball and the biggest game ball of all goes to. Did you guys see? I've never heard of this guy. All right, but he's a former NFL player. All right, former NFL player. His name is Brandon Bear. So he's driving in East Idaho, I guess out in the boonies somewhere in St. Anthony, Idaho. And he sees a train plow into a semi-truck, all right, which triggers an immediate explosion. So he calls 911, all right, to get somebody out there. But while he's waiting, he hears this voice from inside the truck, which had caught on fire following the crash. So he climbs into the wreckage and pulls this 25-year-old truck driver, Steve Jensen, out of the rear window between the passenger seat and the driver's seat. You know how these trucks have those panels, all right?
Yeah.
So he pulls the guy out, and right after he pulls the guy out, there's this big boom and an explosion, and the cab blows up. All right. Goodness. So this guy crawls into a burning wreckage of a semi truck and saves this truck driver's life, for crying out loud. That guy, Brandon Bear, who never amounted to anything in the NFL. He played with the Chiefs for a while. He played with the Eagles and the Raiders. I think he was maybe a special teams guy. Undrafted free agent. But man, you want to talk about bravery right there. Would you crawl into a burning truck to save somebody you didn't know?
So I know for a fact that in the fight or flight response, I am definitely a fight guy. Like if I hear something in my house, like at 2 a.m., I literally go running into it. Like, and then after it's all over, I go, well, that's kind of stupid. What if it was somebody with a gun? What was I going to do? Just take 6 bullets? What was I gonna do?
Baseball bat. Take a baseball bat to it.
I would like to really believe that in a moment where I heard somebody scream for help, that I would totally disregard my own well-being and do that. Now, as I'm dragging that guy out the window, I'm like, man, why are you on the train tracks, man? It's a train track. What the heck? Now I'm in here dragging you out. This is all on fire. I'm giving him what for while I'm doing it.
Yeah, what was the guy doing on the...
You're so dumb.
What was the guy doing on the train tracks?
I have no idea. I hear plenty of PSAs that say, don't park on the train track. Don't try to beat the train.
Yeah. All right, straight ahead, we're going to do a little sound off. We are going to react to the hottest sound of the sports weekend. That is next on Open Mic. But first, your chance at $1,000.
Now, here's your
That is the sound off music. That means the Prince of Production, Kelly Velez, has compiled the hottest sound from the sports weekend that we are going to react to right now. What do we have, Kelly?
Sound off! Sound off!
I'm really frustrated because this was avoidable. We told the NBA through every means available to us, through sending in film, through speaking to everybody in the officials department, everybody in basketball operations, that the way they were officiating Zion was going to get him injured. And quite frankly, he's injured now because of the open season that there's been on Zion Williamson in the paint. He has been absolutely mauled in the paint on a regular basis, to the point that other players have said to him, I'm going to keep doing this to you because they don't call it. So there is more violence encouraged in the paint against Zion Williamson than any player I've seen since Shaq. It was egregious and horrific then, and the same is true now.
Pelicans exec David Griffin speaking about Zion just getting injured and the way he's officiated in these games. Mike, do you agree with what he's saying?
Yeah, and I think Stan Van Gundy has pretty much said the same thing. The coach of the Pelicans, David Griffin, by the way, gets fined $50,000 yesterday for publicly criticizing the officials. But he knew he was going to get fined, all right? He knew it. He is coming to the defense of his player. Who? What was Zion's injury? I think he fractured a finger. Did he not?
I think it was his
Here's the problem with guys like Zion Williamson, all right? And David Griffin just mentioned Shaq as well. The problem is these guys are so big and so strong that they often just play through fouls, all right? They just muscle the ball up anyway because they're so strong, they're so athletic. But a foul is a foul, and if somebody's getting hacked and hammered, they should be fouled. Now, Zion Williamson does take a lot of free throws, so I think what the officials are doing is, hey, we call some fouls on him, but we're not going to call others. Otherwise, he would be getting fouled every time he comes down the court. So I think that's the issue. But the main issue to me is he's so big and strong. Big players, strong players don't get the foul calls that the little petite guys do out on the perimeter. That's a fact.
Sound off! Sound off! Let's see that stinging right uppercut there.
Yeah, that was the side of the glove right into the eye. That was the one that did the damage. That was a hurtful punch. You see Billy there wincing almost straight away, closing that eye.
Yeah, immediately it swelled up. Let's see.
Canelo just absolutely destroying that orbital bone of Billy Joe Saunders, Adam.
Yeah, no, Canelo Alvarez is on a mission to unify the 168 world titles. He's got one left. He's got Caleb Plant coming up. You can go ahead and hit that sound. Yeah. That doesn't excite me. The issue for Canelo now is there are going to be people to say, okay, what can he do now to get me excited? If his goal is to unify at 168, Caleb Plant is the next guy. That's history for Canelo. He cares about legacy, that kind of stuff. Then after that, he's got to fight one of the Charlo brothers. He's got to fight Boo Boo Andre. They'll try to make. Is there a third Gennady Golovkin fight in the cards, or will that fight cease to be of interest as we continue to get further down the line with Triple G's age? I don't know, but what I do know is this, that Canelo Alvarez is pound for pound the best boxer in the world today, and honestly probably one of the top 10 boxers who's ever gotten into a ring, and he's still fairly young for a guy whose resume is so good. The problem is at this point he's cleared just about everybody else out, so I don't know how you continue to add to this resume without guys around you that you can make fights with easily. So we'll see what he does from here on.
Sound off! Sound off!
Yesterday, I got the biggest gut punch in racing for something that I didn't do. And this is really, it's disturbing. It's an injustice to the horse. I feel like, here you win a race, and you're still not, to me, I don't know what's going on in racing right now, but there's something not right. And I don't feel embarrassed. I feel like I was wronged.
like suffering succotash. Bob Baffert really seems like he's being sabotaged. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, come on, Bob Baffert. It's not like Medina Spirit is the first horse that you've had that has tested positive for a drug test. All right, it just so happens that it's the biggest, most notable one, and it happened at Churchill Downs after Medina Spirit wins the Kentucky Derby. Bob Baffert, you are a cheater. Everybody knows that. You are the Lance Armstrong, Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire. You are one of the biggest cheaters in sports. Why? Because you're considered the best at your trade, all right? You are the very best of the best. Is there more attention on you? Yeah. Why? Because you win a lot. And when you win a lot, people are going to pay attention to what your horses are doing. You've had 5 horses test positive over the last year for illegal substances in their system, all right? Don't feel bad for the horse, all right? You do feel bad for the horse, all right? But don't say the horse was wrong. You wronged the horse, Bob Baffert, nobody else.
Now, quick question for me, because I'm a little, I'm not around this, horse racing thing. I'm just getting into it, right? How come out of all this, is it literally just because he's one of the best racers out there that they're even allowing him to be here after, like you said, 5 horses in a year is ridiculous?
Yeah, he's the biggest. Mike, am I wrong when I say that Bob Baffert is the biggest name in horse racing today?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, none of the jockeys, the horses come and go, obviously. Yeah, none of the jockeys are as well known as Bob Baffert. I mean, he's I'm trying to think of a famous, he's the Willie Shoemaker of today's horse racing. He's that famous, all right? Yeah, he's the biggest name in horse racing, and that's probably why they allow him to keep training horses, because let's face it, he may have his horse in the Preakness this week. I mean, why isn't the Preakness suspended him?
It's a great question.
Sound off. DK Metcalf, second from the far right. Second heat of the Nike Men's 100. Metcalf's hanging with them at the moment. It's fairly even. DK's doing a good job. On the inside, though, CJ Ujar and Mike Rogers. That was close. 10-12, the winning time.
It's like when he's not playing football, he's a track athlete. DK Metcalf finishing 9th at the 100-meter dash, Adam. That's incredible. Not going to lie to you.
Yeah, what's incredible is that every track I've known has 8 lanes to it. So how he finished 9? What, he had to couple up with somebody? Hey, you mind if I run with you in your lane?
This was a 10-lane track.
Okay,
I saw the video.
Okay. Which when you hear oh, he finished 9th, that must mean he got embarrassed out there. He ain't get embarrassed out there.
Not at all.
What DK Metcalf, and somebody interviewed him afterwards and was like, there's some really stupid questions were you scared to hurt your legacy or your reputation as an athlete? He's like, no, I'm a football player and I came out here and ran against the fastest people in this country, and though I finished 9th, when you look at me run, just think about what I'd look like if I gave up football and focused on track and field my entire life.
Yeah, he's at least 50 pounds heavier than every single one of those guys.
He's 230 pounds. What is he? 6'4", 229
Huge
pounds.
human being.
Hey, think about it. Were you scared to hurt your notoriety? Hurt it. It only got better this weekend. What are you talking about?
Looking around, pretty sure I'm the only NFL guy here, so...
Yeah. Hey, listen, that guy right there just won this race, and he's still got to dig around in his car cushions to get a burger tonight. I don't have that issue.
The legend of DK Metcalf continues.
I wonder how Tyreek Hill would do. He's considered one of the fastest guys in the NFL.
He'd do the same exact thing. He'd do the same exact thing. Yeah,
finish 8th.
Yeah, he'd finish 8th.
Sound off. That's a sound off for today, folks.
All right, straight ahead, Nick Saban does something that maybe all college football coaches should do. Maybe all coaches, period, should do. I'll explain that next on Open Mic.
More Open Mic.
Right there.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Martin Truex Jr. cannot be stopped. That was his third win of the year. He holds off Kyle Larson to win in Darlington over the weekend. We'll talk to Buddy Pittman, our NASCAR insider, later in the week about that. But remember when Kyle Larson, back when he got suspended, indefinitely suspended for uttering the racial slur on that iRacing game that he was playing, and people were wondering if Kyle Larson would ever get another chance in NASCAR, and I said it then and I stand by it. Yes, he will. Why? Because he's one of the best drivers out there. You get chances based on, you get, the more talented you are, the more chances you get. And that's why Kyle Larson is back racing in NASCAR. He's proven this year. I mean, he's racing for Rick Hendrick Motorsports now. He's one of the best drivers out there. Was when he got suspended, and he is now. So that's why he got another chance. So doesn't matter what sport it's in, whether it's the NFL, whether it's the NBA, whether it's NASCAR. If you have talent, you're going to get a second chance, a third chance, maybe even a fourth chance. So, God, how many NFL players have gotten like fourth or fifth chances, for crying out loud? So
yeah, you'll find out how tolerant your fan base is about any certain issues. Real quick. NFL fans like domestic violence. Bring him back. He had a 1,000-yard receiver last year.
Yeah. Speaking of college football, Nick Saban is getting behind an effort in the state of Alabama to encourage more people to get vaccinated against COVID-19. This was reported over the weekend by the Wall Street Journal that Saban has participated in a public service announcement that will air starting this week, I believe. It also is going to feature SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, former Auburn basketball star and TNT superstar Charles Barkley, and also former Auburn head coach turned U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville, who used to be a college football coach at Auburn and other places. So Saban, according to the recording of the PSA obtained by the Wall Street Journal, says that fans and players both want full stadiums in the fall. Said Saban in the announcement, quote, "Let's make sure we can safely make this happen by getting vaccinated. Please get your COVID-19 vaccine. We want Bryant-Denny Stadium loud again this coming season and roll tide," end quote.
Have you guys seen all the different places where you can get the vaccine now? Not just oh, you can go to Publix, but a guy the Atlanta Braves are offering COVID vaccines during the game. You can go, show up to the game, get a COVID vaccine.
Moderna. We got your Moderna.
That's right. We got Pfizer over here. We got Pfizer. And even as far as Dracula's Castle in Romania, if you're a tourist and you go to Dracula's Castle, you can get your vaccine there.
Wow,
that's a real thing.
I think the Magic have offered vaccines as well. So, again, yeah, you can get them in a lot of places, but some people aren't getting them. Some people, for whatever reason, maybe they don't trust the vaccine, whatever. They're not getting them, but when a guy like Nick Saban, and again, we all know Nick Saban is the king of Alabama, for crying out loud, there's probably a bunch of Tide fans in Alabama that don't want to get vaccinated, but now that Nick Saban has said, hey, go get vaccinated, they probably will. All right, because they love Nick Saban in Alabama because he's won them 6 national championships. I'm just wondering, there hasn't really been a whole lot of, has there been many public service announcements from coaches? And I wonder if Nick's, we all know that college coaches want to be like Nick. All right, if Nick Saban does it, does this put some pressure on other college coaches to make these PSAs? I think it does. Does it not?
Yeah, when Nick speaks, people listen, and he's definitely the lead dog in the SEC pack. What I found to be interesting is you mentioned Tommy Tuberville is even doing it, and I thought that Tuberville basically wasn't he not kind of like a Trump Jr., if you will, in Alabama? So I was actually surprised.
Yeah, he was conservative, but I don't think he's. Again, I don't.
He was one of the. He was one of the people that signed on that Trump didn't lose the election. That the election was rigged.
So I figured that he would be more along the lines of, this is a hoax, this is not real. Everybody has their own choice. You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But I was surprised.
Believe me, I know a lot of conservatives who've been vaccinated. I think I think that only goes so far as
the political line.
Didn't Trump even get vaccinated?
Yeah, Trump was vaccinated.
Trump had it.
Yeah.
And then gave it
who
all
also
Secret
got
Service.
vaccinated? Tucker Carlson. The guy on Fox News that has just claimed that this was all a hoax and everything for months now, Tucker Carlson got vaccinated.
I was going to get mine done at the Magic game and stuff, and they did that special promotion where a player will do it for you, but he missed. I'll be here all week.
Nice.
By the way, did you see this? The Milwaukee Bucks offered, they offered free vaccinations at one of their games, except. Yeah, I think it was Moderna, all right, but they only offered the first Moderna, not the. Yeah, you would think for
what a great ploy! Like, okay, you had that first one, now you got to buy tickets to the next game.
Well, you would think for a championship contender, they'd have better shot selection than that.
Wow, goodness, we're on fire today.
I stole that one.
You stole that one?
Well, if it's stolen from you, it's stolen twice, right?
That's right.
So we do have a poll question now that Nick Saban has made a public service announcement for vaccinations against COVID. Will other coaches follow suit? And your choices are very simple, I believe, yes or no. And I think yes. Dan Mullen on social media. This was last week, I believe. He had a photo of himself on Twitter. Getting vaccinated, and what did he say? He had some cute, talking about the, something about chomp, the vaccine, COVID getting chomp
out COVID.
Yeah, that's what it was. Oh. That's what it was. Chomp out COVID, I believe it was. Yeah, so it was pretty clever. But I don't think he's come out with a public service announcement yet. I hope he does. I hope all the coaches.
If Greg Sankey's like doing it, it's kind of like, okay, my boss is doing it. I think I better, okay, because we all better make this. Because listen, at the end of the day, you want full stadiums. And if the commissioner of the SEC is saying, guys, the best way to get full stadiums for us to increase our revenue is for you guys, whether you like it or not, to go out there and tell people, get these vaccines so we can get this thing going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Think I should ask Gus Malzahn if he's going to come out with a PSA?
Please. Yes. 100%. Huh? I beg you.
I'm not going to do that.
Oh, come on.
Refuse to.
Come on. The next press conference, whenever it is,
Gus,
just be like, Gus, hey, we saw Nick Saban come out with a PSA about the vaccine. Do you think you or UCF will be doing anything like that?
Mike, you could even slide this one past him. Gus, you tended to be a step behind Saban, the last few years. Anyway,
yes.
Try that on. See how that works.
I could say Gus is one of the few coaches who've beaten Nick Saban 3 times in your career. Are you going to beat him on this as well?
Well, it's too late.
It's too late. He's already lost.
Yeah, he's already lost.
He can make a better one.
Oh, better one.
He can make a better one. Make a better public service announcement. Maybe something a little funny. Nick wasn't funny in his. All right, straight ahead, we're going to get into this Kentucky Derby scandal. What is going on with Bob Baffert? Also, we're going to we're going to check in on all the hot topics of the day during the blast. That's coming your way on Open Mic.
gonna put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog. Sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon, the Deceptive Intellect, and Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah.
Also auditioning for a job on Open Mic is the Prince of Production, Kelly Velez. By the way, Kelly, we are going to make a decision on whether you are going to continue to be the Prince of Production. We're going to make a decision on your future here shortly.
Let's do it.
So, if people want to text in, do they like Kelly Velez as the Prince of Production? You can text in to 508-57.
He's way too young to be on my radio.
Doesn't this station already have a Knicks fan on it?
Yeah. Mark Daniels, and we don't need another Knicks fan or a Giants fan or a Yankees fan. We got enough of those, for crying out loud.
We're taking over, baby. We're taking over.
All right, your next chance at $1,000, that's coming up at 8:10 a.m. this morning. We call it the Game Day Payday, so make an appointment at 7:10 a.m., 8:10 a.m., 9:10 a.m. on our show, and then on the 10s throughout the day. Again, we call it the Game Day Payday, presented by International Diamond Center. So a couple Saturdays ago at Churchill Downs, they ran the Kentucky Derby, and Medina Spirit sort of came out of nowhere. Medina Spirit, of course, a horse that was originally sold for $1,000. It comes out of nowhere to win the Kentucky Derby. Here's what it sounded like. Hello. Do we have the Kentucky Derby clip?
Medina Spirit battles on. Hot Rod Charlie on the outside. Essential Quality on the far outside. The four of them coming to the finish in the Kentucky Derby. Here's the wire. Bob Baffert does it again. Medina Spirit has won the Kentucky Derby.
Medina Spirit has won the Kentucky Derby. Well, not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say, because Medina Spirit's victory in that Kentucky Derby 2 Saturdays ago is in serious jeopardy because of a positive post-race drug test, one that has prompted Churchill Downs to suspend the greatest trainer of all time. Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert has been suspended immediately yesterday because of the latest scandal in horse racing. Baffert denied all wrongdoing, even though Medina Spirit is the fifth horse in the last year that has failed a drug test, all right, under Baffert's trainership, if you will. Here's what Bob Baffert said yesterday in a hastily called news conference.
Yesterday, I got a call from Jimmy Barnes. I was headed to the airport. I got some horrible news. He said he had some horrible news for me, that he'd just been served by the Kentucky Race Commission, that Medina Spirit, our Derby horse, had been tested positive for 21 picograms of betamethasone. All I can tell you is that betamethasone, even though it's an allowed drug, therapeutic medication, we did not give it. My veterinarian, nobody here, that matter of fact, Medina Spirit has never been treated with betamethasone. I cannot believe that I'm here before you guys. I never thought I'd be here. Yesterday, I got the biggest gut punch in racing for something that I didn't do. It's disturbing. It's an injustice to the horse.
Okay, so that was Bob Baffert. Now we know why he wears those sunglasses, because he wants to hide those line eyes. Anybody believing that the beta, what did somebody text in earlier? The beta methadone fairy has struck again. Has no idea where this beta methadone came from. He's essentially saying the horse was sabotaged. Said Churchill Downs in a statement, and I quote, "To be clear, if the findings are upheld, Medina Spirit's results in the Kentucky Derby will be invalidated, and is it Mandaloun will be declared the winner." The track also said that the failure to comply with the rules and integrity and said the failure to comply with the rules and medication protocols jeopardizes the safety of horses and jockeys. Quote, Churchill Downs will not tolerate it given the seriousness of the alleged offense. That's when they suspended Bob Baffert. And again, I said this even before the Derby, all right? I'm going to give myself a little credit here. Why is Bob Baffert, why is he not considered one of the biggest cheaters in sports? Why? Because, again, this isn't the first horse. He's been investigated in the past. He is the greatest horse racing trainer of all time, just like Lance Armstrong was the greatest cyclist of all time, just like Barry Bonds was the greatest home run hitter of all time. Those guys were cheaters just like Bob Baffert. Why has Bob Baffert avoided the cheating talk until now? Why? He should have been, he probably should have been suspended before now. For crying out loud.
Probably because horse racing is now a sport in this country that people care about for 2 minutes on the first Saturday in May, and that's about it. And so mainstream, this is no longer a mainstream sport in this country. It's a big event. There's no question about it. There's no question that the Kentucky Derby is a big event, but I mean, at one point, horse racing was one of the biggest sports in this country. And now, I mean, I could probably go an hour and a half listing sports that capture the sports interest or the interest of this country greater than horse racing anymore. So it's just, and oh, by the way, horse racing is sort of, this is one of those sports where when you hear about these sorts of things, it doesn't shock you anymore. And so maybe that's why Baffert's not being raked over the coals like it would be if we found out that, when we thought Tiger Woods may be cheating or Barry Bonds, the great American pastime, and his assault on the record books and stuff like that. Unfortunately, horse racing has sort of a the idea of a shady underbelly anyhow.
Yeah, and obviously there's been many horse racing deaths. We saw what happened at Santa Anita last year with all of those horses dying on the track mysteriously. And again, I don't even know if and I'm not one of these, I'm not a member of PETA or anything like that, but I'm starting to wonder if horse racing should even be legal the way they're shooting up these horses, and horses are dying, and God knows what happens to the horses once their usefulness is done. I mean, some of them obviously, get put to stud and all of that, but I mean, they're shooting up these horses with pain medications to cover up the pain so they can run. And again, I'm no animal rights activist by any means, but when your greatest trainer of all time has been accused 5 times in the last year of drugging his horses, isn't that a big problem for horse racing? I mean, again, this isn't just some no-name guy out there. This is Bob Baffert, the greatest of all time when it comes to horse racing training. And again, I'm no horse racing aficionado, and I'm not an animal rights activist. But if Bob Baffert is drugging his horses regularly, it seems, then maybe maybe instead of taking a look at college football, maybe Congress needs to take a look at horse racing. How about that?
Well, Mike, It's funny you mentioned, all these things about, it's dangerous for the horses, and, I'm not a PETA activist, but maybe we should look at the future of this sport. Remember, in the state of Florida, there's no more dog racing. Remember, we voted dog racing out, and I always asked, I said, okay, this will be a really interesting next step, because what if the eyes then turn to horse racing? And we were having the issues that you mentioned at Santa Anita, and being a guy who spent a large part of his life in Ocala, and how important the horse industry is to that area and to the state and stuff like that. That would be a very, very interesting fight, if that were the next one. Obviously, the dog thing was voted on and it passed, and there is no more greyhound tracks because of the safety for the dogs and whatnot. What if somebody turned their attention to the horses? and started that fight there. That'd be an interesting one. A lot more pushback. I can assure you of this, though.
Although with dog racing, since so many people have dogs and dogs are pets, that may be why dog racing was able, the banning of dog racing was able to get through. Whereas, not many people own horses. And the horse racing lobby, as you just sort of implied, I'm sure they have a strong lobby in the state of Florida lobbying all most of those horse ranches are multi-millionaires, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure they have a strong government lobby to help them keep horse racing legal, not only in the state of Florida, but around the country. All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
You feel that?
I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just took it to my veins!
It's time for the blast.
That's right, it is time for the blast here on Open Mic. The blast brought to you by Frank Gay Services. If you need an electrician or a plumber and you need them right now, go to frankgayservices.com. They will hook you up with all of your electrician and plumber needs. That's frankgayservices.com. Let's start off with the Open Mic thought-provoking daily poll, which is this. With his horse, Medina Spirit, failing a post-race drug test at the Kentucky Derby and his own suspension by Churchill Downs, is Bob Baffert the Barry Bonds / Lance Armstrong of horse racing? Absolutely yes or no?
Absolutely yes, because again, he's considered the greatest of all time, or at least the greatest of modern times. He's not just the Barry Bonds, Lance Armstrong. I mean, go down the list. He's the Rosie Ruiz. He's the East German swim team back in the day. Go through the list of greatest sports cheaters, and he's right there. Marion Jones. I'm looking at a list of sports cheaters right now. He's right there at the top of the list. Absolutely, he is. I mean, this is the Kentucky Derby, and I realize a lot of us are not horse racing aficionados, but there's only been 3 times in the 147-year history of the Kentucky Derby that the winner has been disqualified. It hasn't happened since the 1960s, for crying out loud. Yes, he is one of the biggest cheaters in sports history.
He's not the Barry Bonds, because I don't think Barry Bonds ever tested positive for anything, but he is like the Rafael Palmeiro or the Ben Jones of Ben Johnson. Excuse me, Ben Johnson.
Ben Jones.
Yeah,
too. He probably cheated as well.
Ben Jones is what a cheater. And then the fact that he's claimed that it's somebody else sabotaging him essentially is the coup de grace for me.
79% of the vote says absolutely yes. Supplemental poll number 1. Do you agree with the Donald Trump comment calling Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit a, quote, junky, spelled with a Y, and saying the horse's positive drug test is, quote, emblematic of what is happening to our country? Yes or no?
He also said the whole world is laughing at us now as we go to hell on our borders, our fake presidential election, and everywhere else. Again, Donald Trump's the only guy I know who can politicize horse racing, for crying out loud. I don't know what he's talking about. And again, I don't like to get political on this show, but come on. What the hell does a horse testing positive for drugs have to do with the status of our country? Bob Baffert's been cheating for a long time, even when Trump was in office. Good grief. Get a grip here. And the horse is not a junkie. The horse isn't voluntarily shooting itself up with drugs, all right?
Winnie twice if you want another dose.
Listen, I'm thinking, where'd they get this horse? Was he part of a caravan that came in across open borders or something? How does this connect to the border issues that we have in this country?
One of those Mexican horses, yes.
As you mentioned, it's weird. I was cleaning out a stall today, and I found this dirty syringe in a belt tied around one of its legs. I don't understand what this. I think your horse is a junkie. So stupid. That's so dumb. It's an intervention. I can't wait for the next episode of Intervention. We want to send you to this great place in Palo Alto, California. That's disgusting.
Gross.
All right, I gotta find. All in the name of a joke. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, yikes. With 59% of the vote, no, the audience does not agree with Donald Trump.
But 41% did agree?
That is correct. 41%
Oh, my
do.
God.
Well, I mean, according to the
Sounds like
last
the presidential election results.
Well, at least according to the last election, we're getting better, aren't we? Aren't we getting better?
Hey, text line be damned. All right, here we go. Supplemental poll number 3. Do you give the Orlando Magic a game ball or a goof ball for getting blown out by the equally awful Minnesota Timberwolves? Game ball or goof ball? Mike?
When you lose by 32 to a team that's as bad as you are, you get a game ball because that means you are doing what you're supposed to do. You're trying to finish in the bottom 3, and by losing to the Timberwolves by 32, the Magic are now a half game out of the bottom 3 teams in the league. No. That was their last home game. They gave their fans something to cheer about last night, all right? Gave them something to cheer about. Losing by 32 to the Timberwolves, it gets no better than that.
Is this like the Premier League where like goal differential matters at the end? Should we be tied? Like, hey, listen, our last game we lost to them by 32, so we're clearly worse than them. We need more ping pong balls in there. I'm glad we've all come around. So we're all on the same page now. Losing is good, right?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
Then, fantastic. Good work the other night. Lost by 32 to the Timberwolves? Man, that is a good night at the office, my friends. Well done.
The only reason why I'm giving him a goofball is because the Mo and Mo show only scored 14 points, all right? I'm really disappointed in the Mo train, okay? 59% of the audience is still giving him a goofball, though. I want winners. Anyway, supplemental poll number 4. In the wake of Nick Saban doing a public service announcement encouraging fans to get vaccinated against COVID-19, do you think more coaches will now follow suit? Yes or no?
Well, yeah. I mean, Nick Saban is the king of college football. He's the greatest coach in the history of the sport. He's won 7 national championships. People have followed Nick Saban's lead when it comes to hiring staff and hiring all these different analysts and all sorts of things that he does. Nick Saban wants his stadium packed this fall. That's what he said in the public service announcement. Absolutely other coaches should be following suit, whether it be Dan Mullen, whether it be Mike Norvell, whether it be Gus whether it be Gus Malzahn. All of these coaches should be urging their fans to get the vaccination so we all can go back into the stadiums and not have to worry, or at least not have to worry as much, okay?
Look, Nick Saban has been sort of the lead dog of the SEC for a long, long time. When Nick speaks, people listen. I think about rule changes and different things he's been able to impact in college football just because he gets behind a podium and starts speaking. He's gotten behind a camera now. And I don't know if that was at the behest of Greg Sankey, who said, hey, listen, we need to get the revenues back up. We need to get things back to normal. And how we're going to be able to do that is if we can get as many people vaccinated as possible. And how can we do that is we get Nick Saban to be the lead, get out in front of this, and get guys like Dan Mullen, Kirby Smart, college coaches around the country to sort of follow suit here.
Coach O, how about Coach O?
Coach Orgeron as well can get out there and do it. Jimbo Fisher. Listen, everybody wants to do what it is that Nick Saban does. And if Nick Saban's saying, hey, it's a good idea for us to make these PSAs to get our fans who may be on the fence about vaccines to get behind it so we can get back to normal and we can get back to, listen, we're the ones with 100,000 seat stadiums. We'd like to charge $45 to $65 a seat for those stadiums and have them packed again. If this is the way to do it, then they're going to do it. And I think Nick Saban taking the first step, being the first guy, is a huge step, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the other ones follow suit. Even a guy like Dan Mullen, who's done it on Twitter and done it on Facebook and took a picture of him getting his vaccine and whatnot. These guys will all follow suit, and we will have all the coaches doing PSAs at some point here in the very, very, very
Jimbo
near future.
Fisher in Jimbo Fisher's PSA, he needs to go, I'm going to whip Nick Saban's ass on my PSA as well, brother.
Listen,
brother.
This second dose of Moderna whipped my ass. That's what I'm going to do to Nick Saban this year. I swear to God, when I wake up. from this thing. I'm tired. I got to take a nap.
With 68% of the vote, yes, more coaches will follow suit. And we kind of saw this when they were doing the hand washing and the mask PSAs as well. Nick Saban was one of the first ones to do it, and other coaches followed suit. So,
no, he didn't do it as quickly as Mark Daniels did.
that is correct. Mark Daniels is the true trendsetter in college sports. And finally, the open mic Would You Rather poll. Would you rather be famous in this lifetime or go down in the history books?
Now, does it mean...
Mike, you know you get your answer to this, so this one's simple.
This one is simple for
Now,
Mike.
now, if you're famous in this lifetime, couldn't you still go down in the history books?
Well, Mike, think of it this way.
no?
You know how there are bands that have
Like
really
one-hit wonders?
Well, not necessarily one-hit wonders, but like they have decent careers. They have a fan base. They go on tours. But nobody remembers
Mike and
them.
the Mechanics, or Mike and the Mechanics comes to mind.
You know, you then go, man, what was that band? Oh, I've never heard of them. Like, no one remembers some of these bands. That's what you're getting into. You're being famous in this lifetime, but not famous enough to go down in history.
Okay, but are you going to be, if you're not famous in this lifetime, are you going to be poor in this lifetime, or just your normal self?
I'd say average, average.
I'm going to go famous in this lifetime because that means I would be able to make a lot of money in this lifetime so I could enjoy it, whereas, I don't want to, die poor and then, people remember me for being a genius. Nah.
Yeah, I think about it like artists. There's those artists that like their works were worth nothing in their lifetime, and then 100 years later, hey, that's a $7 million painting. Like, where was that around when I was alive? I'd rather make a few $100,000 while I'm alive than to be broke and then know my paintings went for $2 million later on in life. When I'm long gone. At that point, yeah, give me the what is it? The popular now,
famous in this lifetime.
Yeah, you can profit on that.
With 55% of the vote, be famous in this lifetime wins this one.
See how we always turn it into to monetize. We always monetize these questions, don't we?
Kelly, I hope you're ready for that. Every single one of these would you rather questions, it turns into, well, can I make money off of it or not?
It's like, I don't want to leave anything for my family. I'd rather get it all right now for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of making money, Orlando City's owner, Flavio Augusto da Silva, he's going to make a lot of money when he sells the team, and he may sell the team as soon as today. We will get into that story next on Open Mic.
Now, here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide key
it by Acevedo. What a move. Looking for Pereira. Top of the penalty arc. Out wide for Nani on the left. Towards the top of the box. Nani driving. Nani shoots. Oh, what a goal! For the third consecutive game, Luis Nani has scored a golazo.
Oh, wow, that is fantastic from Nani.
Nani comes to the rescue yet again for Orlando City as they card a 1-1 draw against New York City FC over the weekend. This marked the third straight match in which Nani netted a goal. He, of course, is the captain of the team, and the guy is playing unbelievably. He is so good. So good. I think last year during the playoffs, when they lost the final game of the playoffs, when Nani missed the penalty kick and he sort of made contact with an official at one point, he sort of blamed himself for that loss. I think the guy has come into this season, even though he's been one of the best players in the world during his career. I think he's come into this season with a chip on his shoulder, Adam. I really do.
Well, I mean, he realizes he's the leader of this team. They've taken one big step, and maybe he feels responsible that they didn't take another step. And this team is going to go as he goes, especially without DK returning. He's picked up the goal scoring slack for this team. Chris Mueller's probably not been as good as people would want him to be. Tesho right now, up top is not what DK was or has been here when he's over in Europe. So yeah, he's shouldered a little bit of the load and scored goals when they've needed them, and they're still undefeated. And maybe you're right. Maybe that's a conscious move he's made, but that's the kind of move you'd expect from your best player on the team and one of the better players in the league.
Yeah. If we get these texts, sometimes I don't even know what they mean. Somebody just texted in, this must have been meant for somebody else. The text says, and I quote, dude, every man should have toilet fixing skills in his repertoire. Jesse. That's meant for somebody else, right? We never talked about.
There's somebody that texts into a bunch of the different shows on this in the iHeart family. That somebody has to go over to across the hall and see what it is. You guys talking about toilets today? We were, as a matter of fact. How'd you know? Well, we got one of your misplaced. Sort of like when the mail gets your neighbor gets you get one of their FedEx packages. We got to walk that text over to our neighbor. Hold on.
Yeah. All right, the big story with Orlando City over the weekend. Orlando City owner Flavio Augusto da Silva is nearing a purchase agreement with the Wilf family, who own the Minnesota Vikings. That could be completed as early as today. This was Julia Poe reporting in the Orlando Sentinel over the weekend. The sale would include Orlando City, the Orlando Pride, Exploria Stadium, a.k.a. the Purple Palace, and the Orlando City Academy system. All right, if a purchase agreement is reached, the two parties will need to undergo a 30 to 60 day closing period before the Wilf family potentially assumes control of the club. The sale is expected to be valued between $400 and $450 million. Flavio paid $70 million in an expansion fee to bring Orlando City into MLS. This was in 2015. He went on to self-finance the construction of Exploria Stadium, which is now estimated at, what did I say earlier, $180 million, I believe. All right, so Flavio's going to turn a nice little profit here. He's probably going to make about $300 million in, what's it been, 6 years. So not bad, not bad. For Orlando City fans, we actually have a poll on this, which we didn't. Austin, do you have the poll up of Orlando City, the Orlando City poll up?
I do. I've got it right here. Are you mad or glad that Orlando City SC is being sold to the Wilf family, owners of the Minnesota Vikings? Mad or glad? And 75% of the vote is glad.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Flavio, again, even though the Orlando sports fans owe him a debt of gratitude for being the money man that allowed Orlando City to get into MLS. I think a lot of fans have been disenchanted with ownership over the years. Obviously, it got better last year when they hired Oscar Pereira, who took them to the playoffs in his first year. But I think Orlando City fans look at this sort of like I do. The Wilf family owns an NFL team. All right? If you own an NFL team, you are not only rich, you are ultra, ultra rich. And I don't know what Flavio's net worth is, but I will guarantee you the Wilf family dwarf Flavio as far as net worth, all right? And if you have a multi-billionaire ownership group, sort of like Atlanta United with, who's the Home Depot guy that owns Atlanta United, owns the Falcons? Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank. I mean, Arthur Blank, he as soon as Atlanta United came into the league, he was spending loads of money to make them an instant contender. They won an MLS Cup in their second year. They blew by Orlando City so fast it wasn't even funny. All right? That's what I think the Wilf family is going to do with Orlando City. I think they're going to spend a bunch of money and upgrade this club. And right now, things are going really well. They're already one of the best teams, at least in the Eastern Conference. So I love this move. Adam, you're Mr. Soccer. Do you like it?
Yeah, no. I think this club is moving in the right direction. New ownership, that obviously has a lot of money. That's always good. Oh, by the way, and not when we start talking about billions, 20 million, 10 to 20 million doesn't sound like a lot. But if DK ends up over in Europe, they're going to have that money to spend here in the very near future. And so you're right. If we're comparing to what Arthur Blank did in Atlanta, there's going to be some cash to be splashed to get this team where you want it to be. But listen, I think over the last 2 years they've made all the right moves. Brought in a great goalkeeper. Nani is playing great right now. DK was good while you had him. Now you got to find his replacement. Mueller has taken a big giant step forward here over the last couple of years. So yeah, right now it really feels like all positive vibes around Orlando City's soccer program.
Austin, see if you can find a net worth for Flavio Augusto da Silva. I'm curious. Yeah, I made myself curious because I just stated that the Wilf family dwarfs Flavio as far as net worth, but I don't know that as a fact because I don't know what. It's hard to find Flavio's net worth, I think. But I do know the Wilf family they're multi-billionaires. All right. And I don't think Flavio is worth that much. I don't think that. So we'll see. Wilf family ownership. And here's the other thing about the Wilf family, all right? They've been wanting to get involved in MLS they tried to buy Minnesota United, obviously, which is in the city where the Vikings are. And they try. I think they're minority owners of Nashville right now. All right, and they're going to have to sell their interest in Nashville, obviously, when they buy Orlando City. Of course, they own the Vikings. The Vikings were once known as the Purple People Eaters. We all know that Orlando City, their color is purple as well. So we have come up. Actually, Adam's not going to take any credit for it because he doesn't want to
This is one of my ideas you can have. Free and clear.
All right. So I said earlier we needed a name sort of like the Purple People Eater since the Vikings owners are buying Orlando City, and Adam came up with Purple Pitch Paladins or something, and I said no, that doesn't quite work. So, and then I got to thinking, Oscar Pereira, what's the term he always uses for his team? He wants his team to be the protagonist. So, Purple Pitch Protagonists. That's the new nickname for Orlando City. What do you think, Orlando City fans? Purple Pitch Protagonists. You like it? You like it?
I'm going to go on a limb. They're not going to like it.
Why not? So. Why didn't they like Purple Palace when I came up with that?
Well, but that if they do adopt it, then during home games they could play Naughty by Nature's OPP, but then change the letters to PPP, purple pitch protagonist.
Yeah.
You down with PPP?
Pitch
Yeah,
protagonist.
you know me.
Hey, Mike, I've got a number for you. This is an old list from this is more than 6 years ago, where he was the 141st richest man from Brazil at $444 million, and that was in 2014.
Okay,
Millions?
so the Wilf family. Are you talking about millions?
I scoff at the M word.
Only $440 million. You know what? The Wilf family has that in their couch cushions, do they not?
Yeah, of course. They've got 18 couches, okay?
18.
Yeah, that's
all right,
low
straight
number.
ahead.